Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Scrap Mechanic with Lyte. Today, gonna talk a little bit about the dev blog, clear up a misconception, and then talk about some torque math, adding and subtracting. So, have you gone and read the dev blog? It went up today. I think it's the 8th one. If you haven't, go do that. Pause this video right now. Go read it. It's amazing. I'll wait. I know! Amazing, right? So, yeah, logic controllers. Modding. So many things. Being able to save, delete, and load creations from your cute little lift thingy. There's so many things in that update. I'm not even sure I remembered all of them. But you should, because you just read it. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's amazing. Looking forward to it. Survival gonna be a mod such that we can mod our own survival modes? Might be shifting the burden of making it awesome on us, but we'll see how it goes. But that's enough about that. Probably should have done a dramatic pull into my face. Read it. Okay, so as for torque, I may have been spreading at least a tiny misconception. We'll need to explore it a little further, but what I had said was that when you've got bearings in series, like this, the weaker of the torques wins. Hey now. Don't do that. You're on video right now. Yeah, sometimes there's weird little jumps in the physics that miscalculate things. Not sure what causes that, but regardless, I was saying that the weaker torque wins. Well, that's apparently not actually the case. Because what we've got right here is two engines in series. One of them is on, one of them is off. And this combination has the same torque as the one that's on, not the one that's off. Because when it's off, it's only got a torque of about, 5 Newton meters. No. But seriously, 5 versus tons. Why would you do that again? Oh, yeah. I don't know why. Every now and then, it just does weird little things. But only when I've got lots of things going. So, FPS drops, who knows. Either way, right here, well, let me scoot in under here so you can see it better. Left and right are identical. And there it goes again. They've got the same torque, except when it goes all glitchy. The weaker one does not win. And it's true also of the gas engines. Right here, when it's off, it's got 5. When it's on, it's got roughly this much. And when in series, this one's same as that one. The weaker one did not win. So I don't know if that still holds when they're moving, but this kind of doesn't fly with my understanding of torque, so I'm going to have to do more research on that. And this one starts spinning most likely due to weird collisions. This is not it being torqued, this is not it moving, this is it having this rub against it and it starts moving. So it does weird things with those bearings. And the creepy, weird ghost stuff. Like that. Why? Why would you do that? But the moral of the story is the weaker one does not necessarily win. This will need more investigating to be definitive about. And I can almost guarantee these glitches are related to FPS issues, because now that I'm recording, it's doing it. When I wasn't recording, it wasn't. So it goes. So that's these two right here. And I finally wised up and started putting these things on platforms, so they are very easy to reset. Makes sciencing a whole lot easier. And I have them up a bit, such that they don't fall, because if these fell to the ground, the levers would try to stay where they are, thanks to Newton's laws, so they would get torqued out, and it goes horribly awry. Next up, we've got this little experiment here. We've got ourselves an electric engine on 4. It's hooked up to 2 bearings in series that are facing opposite directions. Why? Because the torques cancel each other out. So we've got this, which has the standing torque of 5, but then you torque these 2 bearings in opposite directions, the torques cancel, so the resulting torque on this remains the 5 standing torque that it was. It doesn't magically turn into 0 and fall or anything. It stays the standing torque. And over here, we've got our actual core of this episode. It's going to be a fairly short episode. People say I get a little long-winded, so I'm going to get right to the point. You can add and subtract torque by having it in parallel, which some people have been very excited about because you can do that with the weld tool now. You can have one item connected to multiple bearings. And if the bearings are in line such that they can rotate the object appropriately, you can do math with the torques. So right here, we've got one engine set to 3, powering both bearings, because we learned last time that it puts the same amount of torque on each of the bearings, so both of these have the full power of this engine. And thus, they are able to produce this much torque. You can do the math, but we know how much this can put out, and it puts out twice that much to make this thing. So that's good. You can add torques together. It doesn't have to be the same one, because if we took the level 3 and added it to a level 4, you'd have essentially 3 level 3s. Because these engines are double, but we didn't necessarily verify 100% solidly that the engines are, in fact, double one another. I know that's what it says in the game files, but we didn't really do it scientifically. Until now. And you're going, Lyte, that's just the same test. Why are you doing the same test over again? Well, I'm not. Neither of these are set to 3. This one is set to 5, and this one is set to 4. And again, you're going, Lyte, that math doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to work that way. Well, it is. They're contradicting one another. We've got the 5 pulling clockwise, and the 4 pushing counterclockwise. You can subtract the torques as well. So if you need a very specific torque, you can kind of get it. And in this case, what we've found is that 5 minus 4 is 3. Yes, this is slightly different arithmetic. It's kind of symbolic. So you've got a 3 that has a certain amount of torque. You've got 4, which has twice as much. You've got a 5 that has twice as much as that. So when you subtract the 4 from the 5, you get a 4, which is 2 3s, which is what we have here. 2 3s is 1 4, which is a 5 minus a 4. I don't know if you need me to go through that again, but I will. 3, you double it to get 4. So these are putting out as much torque as just this 4. This 5 is twice the 4. So if you subtract the 4 by going in the opposite direction from the 5, you get another 4. And weird torque glitches aside, if you've got 2 3s, it's got the same torque as a 5 minus a 4. So it doesn't show it for all of the engines, but we've got enough to believe that you do, in fact, get twice as much torque each level you increase the gas engine. Now, you can do this sort of adding and subtracting with anything you want, torque-wise. You can do it with the gas engines, the electric engines, the controllers, and probably the suspension glitch. Didn't have time to add it to this episode, but I plan on doing more in-depth stuff with the suspension glitch next episode, identifying where the torque is generated, if that can even be done, doing addition and subtraction, and trying to get as clear a reading as possible on how much torque it actually generates. And there's been some scuttlebutt about the difference between having the controller preset to an angle versus having it set to an angle and then adding it. For example, if you've got it set to, let's say, 10 degrees, that's different than setting it to 9 and then adding 1. It's a weird thing, but that's the goal for the next episode, and hopefully it won't be as frustrating as trying to wrangle in all of these things on the same stream, or recording, because they're getting a little unruly with the calculation problems. Because they should all just stay nice and level, a little bit of wobble here and there, but FPS drops are weird. Oh, that's right. Axolot was going to roll their own rendering engine. They've been using Ogre, and they want to roll their own because of, all the issues people have been having with frame rate and whatnot. So it could go well, could go terribly. Let's have faith and hope it just goes well. But that's all I've got for this episode. You can add and subtract torque as one would expect. The lower torque does not necessarily win, at least in standing torque tests. I will have to check it also with some sort of moving torque, but look at that. It's just being ridiculous. Oh well. But I will see you in the next episode of Scrap Mechanic with Lyte.